This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's going to be a beautiful day. A little chillier than it was over the weekend, which is a beautiful weekend. I hope you had a good time over the weekend. Enjoyable time. I did. So, really, really nice weather, right? Patriots won. That was pretty good. And I watched the Donald Trump rally yesterday. Did anybody watch, or last night rather, the rally at Madison Square Garden? That place was jammed, absolutely jammed with people. And I thought it was a really pleasant experience. I got to admit, I didn't watch the entire thing. I watched the president I watched the speech by Massachusetts' own Dana White, right? There's a kid from South Boston who's done really well with UFC, right? Taking it global. He's a big supporter of the president. And so I watched his speech. I watched Lee Greenwood, right? I watched really the most beautiful first lady I think this nation has ever had. Melania. Right? Oh, Melania. What's her name? Melania Trump. It's always my problem with girls. I can't remember the name. The Melania Trump, she speaks 5 languages. She can't palm a basketball, but she can speak 5 languages. And I think that's really spectacular, isn't it? Certainly helpful on the international stage. So I thought that rally, I thought the president's speech was fantastic, right? I was waiting for the swastikas after being assured by Hillary Clinton and many of you local Democrats that it was going to be a 1938 Bund speech. The Bund was the German Americans and other Americans who supported Hitler, right? There were no swastikas. There were no swastikas. It was amazing. It was amazing. After being assured by Hillary Clinton and the rest of you lying Democrats that it was going to be a Nazi-like speech, that I must be a fascist, right? Because after all, the only reason that a fascist can get into power is with the support of other like-minded fascists, right? So that must make me and Tom Hodgson and some of the little old ladies in my neighborhood who support the president fascists. We must be fascists. Well, I watched it. It went fine. Fascism. I'm safe from fascism, right? 508-996-0500. The other thing is the Native Americans, also not fascists, have joined in the federal court action against Vineyard Wind. The industrialization of the oceans. They filed a brief in the federal courts. This is the Aquinnah tribe, right? The Aquinnah tribe of the Wampanoags has filed a supporting brief in the federal courts with the Act for Whales group, people who are opposed to building power plants in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. So I think that is a major local development, that the Aquinnah tribe has joined in trying to, roll back the industrialization of the oceans. So look for that, too, as well, folks. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Beautiful October day. I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal political belief. Obviously I'm a Trump supporter now. When Trump first ran for office, I voted my whole life. Believe it or not, I voted for Barack and Clinton and Carter, some mistakes. But when I saw how Trump was treated by the mainstream media and by these politicians pulling him to court now, it really opened my eyes how corrupt this government is. And I'm going to be 70 years old, and I don't know if I was, what's that expression, dancing through the fire or whatever, something like that. But these Democrats were there, Hitler. They've done it to Bush. They've done it to, what do they have, 8 presidents they've called Hitler?
They called Barry Goldwater, who has Jewish blood in him, right, a Nazi. It's outrageous.
And don't think this is not a backhand slap. I don't consider you an investigative journalist. You're a talk show host.
Right. I'm glad you don't.
I'm going to give talk show hosts a little more leeway. But investigative journalists, it's just ridiculous how they want to dig up Trump's past, but none of Harris's past. And her past is very immoral. She cheated right out of the gate from her first elections, and this is fact. She's brought up on it, and you never hear about it. So if you just watch your CNN, your NBC, or if you're just watching your Fox, I'm just so disappointed in this country because, when we hear about Russia and we hear about China, I still say this is the greatest country in the world, and I never want to live in Russia or China.
Yes.
But we're not that far off from the way we treat one party to the other. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just really, really disappointed in the corruptness of this government. And I've seen it more against this man, Trump, than I have on any other man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the call, my friend. I appreciate that. He's correct. I'm not an investigative journalist, but he's not incorrect either about the fact that people put their finger on the scale, the media. Now, I don't pretend to be nonpartisan or without a side, right? You all know my opinion. That's why you listen to me, whether it's to agree with me or disagree with me, right? I mean, there's certainly a lot to disagree with me about, and I'm willing to be disagreed with in an agreeable fashion, right? The fact of the matter is that, did anyone see or listen to the Joe Rogan podcast? The Joe Rogan podcast was a 3-hour episode with Donald Trump. He talked for 3 hours. They could have kept going. Joe Rogan is from Massachusetts originally and very much involved in MMA. And Joe Rogan said, if you go back and play any of the clips of Donald Trump before he got elected on The View, how Whoopi Goldberg and all the rest of them were fawning over him. To today, they're calling him a threat to democracy. Folks, when someone, particularly somebody in elected office, tells you that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, what they are doing is saying that America is a weak nation. No one person is ever a threat to the republic. We have safeguards, overlapping layers of government that prevent fascism or communism from coming to power. Because as long as you respect the system, and if you don't, there are other layers of the system that back it up, right? For Donald Trump to be accused of being an enemy of the state, that he's an enemy of the republic, is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But, folks, anybody who's trying to scare you into voting for them doesn't deserve your vote, right? Now, is it true there are migrants pouring across the border and murdering American citizens? That is absolutely true. That's not a fallacy. It's not a fiction. We had it happen in New Bedford. A girl was murdered by an illegal alien, shot down in cold blood. Donald Trump references that Why? Because Tom Hodgson testified in Congress about it. Why do you think Tom Hodgson is working so hard to bring Donald Trump and the rule of law back to America? Because he knows about the chaos and the murders, the rapes, the sexual assaults caused by an open border, which is the Democrats' policy. We don't even have an open border. We have American politicians in the form of the Massachusetts legislature subsidizing the very rapists and murderers that are brought to Massachusetts to rape your daughters, to molest your children. It is the policy of the Democrat Party to subsidize the very chaos that is taking place here in Massachusetts. So I ask you to vote accordingly. You can vote today to subsidize the very rapists that are targeting your daughters, that are targeting you, targeting your granddaughters, in some cases, your grandsons. You can subsidize them by voting Democrat, or you can reject that by choosing another party or a candidate of no party at all. Well, you can vote today. You can wait all the way till Election Day. But by God, vote. Vote for your future. Stick around. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. If you care to join the conversation, it's 508-996-0500. Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy, and hopefully Val Haller. I'm not coming. Not today anyway. Soon, but not today. So stick around. 508-996-0500. Folks, I want to give you some really important information. I was investigating question 5 over the weekend. Question 5 is the restaurant destroying question, in my opinion. It is the question that will drive up the wages that restaurants are forced to pay, therefore the prices, right? It'll drive up the prices for the consumers, and it will basically eliminate tips for bartenders and waiters and waitresses. So I thought, we've been talking about that question here quite a bit with people who work in the industry and people who own restaurants, right? And the people who are supporting this question, major Democrats, okay? The initial funding for the nonprofit that is putting this on the ballot came from George Soros's Open Society Foundation. That is the major funder of the nonprofit that is putting the question on the ballot. But the Political Action Committee in Massachusetts that is supporting question 5, their large donor is a woman named Shannon Liss Reardon. Let me back up. Shannon Liss Reardon, okay? Shannon Liss Reardon is an attorney, very accomplished attorney. She ran for Attorney General in the Democrat primary here in Massachusetts a couple of years ago. She was defeated by Andrea Campbell, our current Attorney General. Now, Shannon Liss Reardon is the same attorney who tried to block Donald Trump from being on the ballot. In other words, she tried to take away your democratic right to vote for Donald Trump in the presidential primaries and in November. Shannon Liss Reardon gave $20,000 in cash. She wrote a check. A personal check for $20,000 to the Political Action Committee that is supporting question 5. Now, in the next hour, we're going to have a member of the Massachusetts State Senate coming on to tell us why, as a Democrat senator, she supports Question 5. In opposition to Jay Lanigan and Steve Silverstein and my friend Jordan from the Speedwell Tavern and the birthday girl today, right? Darby Costa. If you see Darby Costa, wish her happy birthday. And vote. If you want to give her a birthday present, tell her you're voting no on question 5. You're going to save her income for her and her children, right? Vote no on question 5 if you want to give Darby Costa a happy birthday, right? And America, Massachusetts in particular, a good restaurant industry, right? So there's some information for you folks that the major personal donation to the Political Action Committee came from Shannon Liss Reardon, a major operative in the Democrat Party and a great attorney, by the way. She does a nice job for her clients. There's no doubt about that. But Shannon Liss Reardon wrote a $20,000 check to the Political Action Committee that favors question 5. So those are the people behind the question. Right? 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris.
What's happening?
I want your opinion. I was reading this story. This concerns me about the Trump administration. I'll just try to get through this very quickly and just get your opinion. So in the Boston Globe this morning, they were talking about one of his senior advisors who's going to be on his, his staff if he gets in.
Who's his name? What's his name?
I don't have it. It starts with an E. Ehrlich something. Anyway, the gist of it was that he has already said that if he gets in, when Donald picks his cabinet or people that he wants to serve with him, quote, is going to waive security clearances. I remember this distinctly when he got in the first time, and I almost fell out of my seat because they said he had waived security clearances, I know, for Jared.
For his son-in-law. Yeah, I was opposed to that. I thought that was outrageous.
Well, listen, so this is in there, and this is the part about checks and balances. You served, I served in the Army. When I got out years later after going to college, I got a job with the Army. And I can remember the first day, I couldn't even turn my computer on for like 2 weeks. I had to go through extensive security clearance training. And I also got vetted because I can remember my neighbors calling me saying, hey, somebody called me and was asked about your background, which I totally support.
Sure.
The gist of this article was a lot of people that he would want, some of them may be good too, don't want to go through that because they don't want stuff to come up in their past. Going back to my question to you, to me it's a checks and balances issue, and I totally support doing that. But it scares me. This is what some people I don't think the other side gets. It scares me that he can waive security clearances for people he wants. I just don't understand that because to me it's like I couldn't even turn my computer on for 2 weeks until I was vetted and went through a security clearance. And I worked on black programs. You all know what those are.
Sure.
Other people won't. And so, in other words, I understand why they do this, but it's the checks and balances, like I say, in his administration, because now they're already saying that he's going to waive them. So can you imagine like a Rudy Giuliani coming back to his administration and they waive his security clearance? I wonder what your opinion is on if he waives security clearance. Do you support that?
Well, I don't, and it's a great question. I generally don't support that, okay? But the reason he can do it, any president can do it, is because executive power comes through the office of the presidency, and there's only one person in the presidency at a time. I know that's a little confusing today, but we have one president at a time, and the power for the bureaucracy comes through the power that we elect to give the one individual. We elect power. We elect a president. That is where all executive power comes through. So the FBI gets its power from the voters when they elect the president. So he is, or she is, whoever is the president, has all executive power. There is no executive power outside of the presidency. So all the bureaucracies that work for the president, meaning CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, Secret Service, FBI, all of those IRS, all of those agencies exist because of the president. Right? They are appointed by him, her, whoever, right? Whoever the president is. And I know it can be kind of confusing, but it is, we have only one, I'll make it as simple as I can. We only have one president at a time, right? We have multiple members of Congress. We have multiple members of the Supreme Court, but we only have one president. And he or she, in this case, is who all executive power is invested with. So every power that the FBI has to check out appointees of the president only exists because the president delegates it to him. So if the president says, I want that guy anyway, and look, I would imagine, I didn't read this article and it's hard for me to comment more than, because he didn't give me the name of the person, and that's okay. Maybe I wouldn't know them anyway. But what the person is saying is accurate, assuming, and I trust that gentleman. We don't always agree, but I do trust his ability to regurgitate a story to me. So I would say that if you remember back a couple of years ago when Donald Trump waived Jared Kushner's security clearance or security check and gave him the security clearance, I was very concerned. In fact, I brought our Congressman Bill Keating on to comment about it because I found it disturbing. And what I would say is that based on Donald Trump's experience with the FBI and some of the intelligence agencies, he may have determined accurately that many of them are partisans before they are patriots, that they have a partisan agenda before they have a patriotic agenda. And so he doesn't trust some of them. And I think there's a lot of ground for that, right? Remember the 51 former high-ranking intelligence agents that claimed that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation? They used the credibility that we had given them, that the executive branch had given them, against the American public when they told them that a legitimate political issue, the Hunter Biden laptop, was in fact a Russian propaganda tool, which was a lie. And they used 51 intelligence agents, used their credibility that they had gotten from the American taxpayers against the American voters to manufacture a lie to protect Joe Biden and his family, right? Remember that? Now, wherever you come down on Hunter Biden's disability and his drug addiction, it's fine. But what those intelligence agents did was absolutely outrageous, right? Those are some of the highest ranking members of the intelligence community, used their reputation to protect a political agenda for a very particular political party done in conjunction with a political campaign. So what does that mean? Well, it means that maybe we can't trust the intelligence community. So I would say that at the offset, giving the intelligence community the veto power over appointees of Donald Trump maybe not be something that Donald Trump really wants to concede up front, right? Now, they are putting out stories now already trying to damage Elon Musk's reputation. Because as an international businessman, he has contacts around the globe. He has to. So it may be that Donald Trump recognizes that the intelligence community is going to go to war with him. Remember, he was warned by Schumer not to mess with the intelligence community, right? Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and WBSM is teaming up with Primacare in an effort to prevent, identify, and cure a disease that strikes 1 in 8 women in the United States, and less commonly, but it does strike men. A simple mammogram can be your best weapon in the fight against breast cancer, allowing for early detection and the best chance for a successful treatment. Awareness, detection, treatment, cure. That's the key to beating this disease. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on WBSM is brought to you by Primacare, by your side. Breast cancer, of course, we had I would say a friend of the program, right? She and her family have recently been going through this. Alyssa Turgeon da Silva, right? Hank Turgeon's daughter, right? Her husband Jordan's a police officer here in New Bedford. Alyssa Turgeon da Silva, we had a party for her and raised her a lot of money and all that stuff. I know that Alyssa's going through some complications now. I'm not talking out of school. She puts it on Facebook. So she, they have surgeries for this stuff, right? And it's a complicated mess. The radiation, the chemotherapy, and the rebuilding, right, for breast cancer. So Alyssa Turgeon da Silva, our prayers are with you. And I know her. She's got 2 beautiful children, right? And she's out of work now. And if you follow her on Facebook, you know all about this. If you don't follow Alyssa with an A, Alyssa Turgeon da Silva, follow her on Facebook. Give her a follow and read her story, and maybe you can help her out, right? Her and her kids. And they're beautiful kids, and when you get out of work and all that stuff, right? So anyway, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, even if you just care about a family, and really she's a strong girl. I know her father's a great friend of mine and a great friend of the community, really, quite frankly. Anyway, Alyssa Turgeon da Silva, our heart goes out to you and your family, and our prayers. I want everyone out there to pray for Alyssa. It's with an A, right? Alyssa Turgeon da Silva. Pray for her. Pray for her family. Pray for her children. Pray for her husband, Jordan. And see what you can do for those people, all right? So, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, right? Anyway, folks, so I was telling you that question 5, that is the question that all the restaurants, all the people that work in restaurants, quite frankly, the municipal officials that collect the taxes from restaurants, right? The property taxes, the sales taxes, the meals taxes, all of them are concerned about question 5. And over the weekend, I did some research. I do research so you don't have to. And the question is being financed by a very prominent Democrat. The Open Society Fund, that is a foundation of George Soros, and a woman who ran for the Democrat nomination for Attorney General, Shannon Liss Reardon, wrote a $20,000 check in favor of question 5 to the Political Action Committee that is in favor of question 5. $20,000. She is a Democrat. She is an attorney, very skilled attorney. She sought the nomination of the Democrat Party for Massachusetts Attorney General, and most recently tried to block your Democrat rights to vote for Donald Trump in the primaries. And then in November, she took it all the way to the ballot commission and then to court. Tom Hodgson squared off in the court representing Donald Trump, right? So that is one of the major funders for question 5. So does that mean Kamala Harris and her party are in favor of question 5? Well, we have some people who've come on here who are opposed to question 5. Chris Hendricks, because, of course, long before he was a Democrat representative, he was a bartender over at Cork, and he was, he's part of the economy. So Chris Hendricks is opposed to question 5, but a lot of Democrats apparently are in favor of it. So vote accordingly in November, right? If you work as a bartender or waitress, or if you ever have, or if you go to restaurants, if you're a consumer, send a message to the Democrats. You're opposed to this. You're not in favor of voiding the tip economy. That's what they want to do. They want to put all the wagers on the consumer. They want to take away the tips. At least that's how I read the question. Question 5 is not good for anybody. It's not good for municipalities. Certainly not good for downtown New Bedford. Oh, by the way, folks, did you wonder where all the vim and vigor, the venom for the Business Improvement District came from? Folks, the Workers' World Party, well, rather a split from the Workers' World Party, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They have a presidential candidate. They have a big presence in the greater New Bedford area. Their newspaper, Liberation News, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, they are celebrating the defeat of the Business Improvement District. And they're kind of taking credit for it. They've got an article in the September issue of their newspaper. Now, these are the same folks that had the pro-Hamas rally celebrated by a lot of local Democrats, where they carried the signs from the river to the sea, right? Trying to lobby Congressman Keating not to give aid to Israel. They are taking credit. This anti-Semitic party is taking credit for defeating the Business Improvement District in the New Bedford City Council. Check it all out. It's on Liberation News, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is a split of the old Communist Workers' World Party. They haven't changed their ideology at all. They're still a communist party. They openly applaud Marxist-Leninist theology, basically. But they have an article up in the September issue of Liberation News. That's their newspaper, their international newspaper, celebrating the victory that they believe they achieved when they lobbied the New Bedford City Council to vote down the Business Improvement District. Think of that. Think of that for a second. A communist party, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, is celebrating the victory in the New Bedford City Council when they defeated the Business Improvement District, put forward by good Americans, Wolverines, like Jay Lanigan and Kevin Carter and Jimmy DeMello and Steve Borgard and Steve Silverstein and the Mitchell administration, right? Well, they were defeated by the communists, who are now celebrating with a newspaper article in Liberation News the victory they achieved in your city council. It's amazing, right? 508-996-05. Check it out. Check it out. I do those deep dives into what the communists are up to, so you don't have to. But I bring it to you here on WBSM. Thanks to sponsors like Mac Auto Sales. Mac Auto Sales. A great New Bedford business that pays a lot of taxes, keeps the city of New Bedford rolling at 188 Rivet Street in New Bedford. They repair all makes and models. So if you need to get your car for the obviously coming winter, bring it over to Mac Auto Sales. Give Mac Auto Sales a call, 508-565-6221. They'll get your car ready for the coming cold weather. If you have a foreign car that needs repair, perfect. Mac Auto Sales specializes in foreign car repair. Ask about the aftermarket accessories and the quality used cars that they have for sale at Mac Auto Sales. Let's go back to the phones. I've got 2 phone lines open. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
What's
How you
happening,
doing?
my friend?
You have a good weekend?
I did, my friend. How was yours?
Good to hear. Yep. First, I'm going to start off with 2 quick quotes. One from John Adams. This system of government will only work with the religious and moral people. And George Washington, an uninformed public is a populace in bondage.
Yes.
Now, today we're being told that everybody get out and vote, but the first election, when George Washington ran for president, it was under 20% of the population that went out and voted. Many people didn't think it was that important. But this is nothing new. But if you have an uninformed public that's not up on the issues for whatever reason, it's not good for our constitutional republic.
Right.
Most of the people today, and we've talked about this before, get all the information on social media and late night shows. You know, Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. You know, those are the people that Kamala Harris and the Democrats are trying to reach out to. Is the low info voter that just relies on information, quick sound bites. That's
totally
where
agree
we are
with you.
today.
That's why you need to go out and vote. That's why you need to encourage
I vote
other
all the
informed
time,
people.
Chris. I go out and vote all the time, but the key is you have to be informed.
Yes.
And you have to do your analysis. Don't take anybody's word for it. Rely on quick sound bites that are out of context, and that's very important.
Yes.
You know. But just this idea that everybody should go out and vote is a bunch of malarkey, to put in Joe Biden's terms.
What do you think of the fact that major Democrats are financing Question 5?
I'm not surprised when you said George Soros.
Yes.
Because he tanked the British pound when he pulled out of there in the Philippines. Wherever this guy's gone, he's created havoc. And then back in his youth, he also backed Adolf Hitler. This is not opinion. This is historical fact. So this man is trying to take down the United States economy to bring down the U.S. so communism and a fascist form of government can come into power. That's what he's all about. He's anti-America.
And what do you think of the fact that the one of the communist parties, the big one today, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, is celebrating the defeat of the Business Improvement District in the New Bedford City Council? What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you a lot. That tells you the Democrats are in bed with them, at least those that are running the Democratic Party. So those Democrats who are moderates, they need to make their voices heard and stand up and stop being bullied around and being afraid.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Take a break. We'll be right back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy, and we're going to have a busy week this week. We got Shane Burgo coming in tomorrow. We'll get his opinion on some of the stuff going on in the city and in the region. He's a very active Democrat. He was a delegate to the convention, so that'll be interesting, and the national convention. And then we'll have Ian Abreu coming in again tomorrow as well. Of course, he's a local business owner, restaurateur. So we'll ask him his question, what's going on in the city, but also he's a city council, right? But also his opinions on Question 5. In the next hour, we're going to have a state senator in, and she's going to be on the phone, really. And she's a Democrat, and she supports Question 5. So it's going to be Pat Jalen. Pat Jalen, she's a Massachusetts state senator, Democrat type, and she actually supports Question 5. She's going to call into the studio to the studio at 10:10. So she'll be in the next hour. Okay, State Senator Pat Jalen. So that'll be interesting. She supports Question 5. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
It's Pat Jelen.
Oh, hi, Pat. Yeah, we're going to have you.
Call early.
Oh, did they? All right. So we'll put Pat on hold. That's State Senator Pat Jalen. She's going to be here after the news, okay? So when we come back, we'll speak with the state senator on Question 5. We'll ask her what else is going on in the state. Really appreciate the senator for for joining us. So she's going to stick around for the local news and the national news, folks. And then we will have the state senator on after that. She's in Montigny country. I don't know if you and Mike Rodrigues, the great chairman of Ways and Means, both friends of the program. Senator Montigny's a regular here, as you know. And Senator Rodrigues, the chairman of Ways and Means, is a regular here as well. So anyway, folks, stick around for the local and the national news. And we'll be joined by Pat when we come back. If you haven't made plans for lunch, think about the Profile Tavern in East Freetown, my hometown, Mike Rodrigues' district. The Profile Tavern serves up amazing lunches, amazing dinners, and amazing brunches on Sunday. They're open daily for lunch and dinner, located right off Route 140 in East Freetown. The Profile Tavern, they do barbecue out there like nobody else. They also do pizza like nobody else. But the barbecue, they can start the smokers nice and early out there in Freetown. So when you sit down to a plate of brisket, ribs, chicken, no matter what, it's going to be the best slow-cooked meats you've had in a long time, paired perfectly with